Well, Amy and I are going on a date. Oh wait,
Oh, what?
we're going to day 10. Same thing. We're heading out to Dayton right now. It's a 2.5 hour drive, and it's a good time for us to get our videos done. Bit of a unique week. You know, the horses, we had some horses race well. We'll talk about the horses this week. We had some horses race bad. We can talk about them too if you want. Here, I'm going to move this over so that Amy can... You have to lean into the shot, though. You can't just... You like to hide over in the corner, right? I'm too handsome to cut off any more than that. Do you see? Right there, that's my max, my left ear. You good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, we're heading down to Dayton right now to race. Time is on my side in Trosa tonight. As I said, a bit of an odd week. I got to do a little political work this week, which I haven't done in a long time, and I was torn. I'm glad I did it. Amy was a little concerned. To get up at 3:15, and you know I get up at 3:15 because I woke you up. 3:15 in the morning to make that 5 o'clock flight. I almost missed my last flight. I didn't tell you that.
Did you fall asleep?
No. So what had happened was on my last flight, the app I don't think was working right, and it wasn't telling me what gate or seat we were at. So I walked up to one of the gate agents, and when I opened my app, I had my ticket to go there on, and I said, "Ma'am, what gate am I at?" She goes, "Oh, sir, that's with Delta." She goes, "They're down in gate B," and I said, "Really?" It never dawned on me at the moment. I said, "Really?" So I'm getting to about 8 minutes to boarding, and I walk all the way down to gate B. And it's just as I walk into the B concession, from the D concession, by the way, I realized what I've done. So now I start to panic because I've been walking for about 7 or 8 minutes. I wheel around, I light jog. I started off with a light jog, just a stretch, light jog. I had no bag, so I was okay. My wrist hurt, but I was all right. And I think my wrist was hurting from flying yesterday. Maybe the pressure or something, I'm not sure. But my wrist yesterday hurt more than it's hurt since I injured it.
Your stuff usually hurts a few days later or worse.
Yeah, well, it hurts. It hurt, and I shocked it today.
It's not like you've been like...
It hurt a lot to shock it, but it's manageable. It should be a lot more manageable now that I had it shocked. But I'll tell you one thing: when they say it hurts to shock your wrist, they're not joking. Wowzers. What was I saying? Oh, I get all the way back to gate B, and I walk up, and the lady didn't notice me because it would have been awkward, the exchange between her and I. She didn't.
Like, oh, you're back.
Yeah, but she didn't recognize it was me. I walk up and I said, "Am I at the right?" I was at the right gate all along.
Oh my God, you're an idiot.
Yeah, I was at the right gate all along. She says, "Oh yeah, we're boarding. We've begun boarding." She was, "You're zone 3. You're up next." As I'm broke out in a sweat from speed walking in the airport. I did not get up to my full gait. No. I didn't stretch right into my hobble, so to speak. But I was walking briskly.
Remember we had to do that when we came back from Florida and your poor mother?
What? No, I don't remember what happened. The only time I ever remember rushed at an airport, God love him, Danny O'Brien. You weren't there. Danny, I don't know what you were doing, but we were dating at the time, I think.
I know what it was.
We went to the UFC in Montreal.
I couldn't go because I had final exams.
Ah, so Danny O'Brien was working for me at the time, and I still like the UFC, but I liked it a lot then, and I was watching it quite a bit. And George, what's that?
I'm just saying it's 5 minutes of talking about nothing.
This is very important stuff right here.
Okay.
That's some good B-roll stuff. George St. Pierre was on the card. It was the one where he was fighting Matt Serra. Anyway, you don't remember. He was fighting Matt Serra. And Danny O'Brien won, and I talked him into coming with me. He didn't know anything about the UFC, but, you know, he's always up for a trip, and a good guy. So I said, we'll go to, we'll fly from Toronto to Montreal. I got the tickets. Well, one of my good friends who I don't talk enough to anymore, Bruce Gom, great guy. Every so often he'll call me, and he played a big role in me being in Ontario, me being in Toronto for sure. Anyway, he had got me the tickets through his company, and we get to we're flying to Montreal, so we go to Pearson Airport, and our gate is down in the C concourse, and we're about to board, but I also know and I don't think I was in a Starbucks then, but I think I did, because I went to the Starbucks. I said, Danny, we'll go get Starbucks. I don't want any Starbucks. You know, Danny's like,
Yeah.
I don't want any Starbucks. I have stupid Starbucks and blah, blah, blah. I said, come on. He goes, the gate's the other way. Come on, we're going to be late. And I said, we're not going to be late, Danny. Relax. So we go, and I talk him into it, and I think it was Starbucks. I go and get a Starbucks, and just as they put my drink on the counter, I hear, last call, flight so-and-so to Montreal, paging passengers McDonald and O'Brien. And Danny went crazy. He took off. This is a middle-aged man running through the airport like a little girl looking for her mother, and he's running down the hallway. I said, Dan, I'll meet you right there. And I got there, and he's literally huffing and puffing and broke out in a sweat. And he's explaining to the lady at the desk how stupid I am and how I had to go drink this stupid I think it was Starbucks. Anyway, to this day, we joke about it. I talked to him the other day on the phone. We didn't talk about that, but I'll never forget it, because we went to the fight. We went to the fight and we went to the bar after the fight. We had a great time, and then we flew home the next day, I think. But Danny, being neurotic, it's like Danny's the type of guy, you know, when they tell you to get to the airport 2 hours before, he might be there 5 hours before, just in case. You know, you never know. And I, as you guys know, are the opposite. Yesterday I got to the airport. Lonnie's the greatest. You know, we're trying to get back to, like, I had to leave. It was very nice. If you watched the whole thing, which you didn't do, but if you watched the whole thing, and it was a big deal, you know, and I didn't want to make a big deal about it, but this is the New York Assembly. This is the capital of New York, and this is like, I'm testifying. So there was 5 panels on the docket. They made me a standalone panel and moved me up to panel number 2 on the docket, and you can hear the lady in the thing say, to accommodate Mr. McDonald's travels, we're going to call an audible and move him up to number 2, which I thought was really, really nice of the lady. She was super nice. And I was obviously, you know, you guys know, obviously I don't mind talking, but when you're talking to legislators, when you're talking to the government, you know, it's a little bit different. You don't want to make a fool of yourself. You don't want to make a fool of your industry.
Okay, why does this road take us to Columbus and the road 271?
This is 271, sweetheart.
Why is it called 71?
Oh, no, there is 2. They both go, they have multiple highways that go south. We're heading in the south direction. So here's Columbus. One would take you up here, and one would take you down there. One would take you in the middle, and you drive around Columbus, right? It's just multiple. If this highway didn't exist, the other highway wouldn't move because it would be packed full of people. I'm not doing anything. I'm talking to you. So, you know, I didn't want to make a fool of myself or the stable or anybody. So I showed Amy when I got there, and it was reminiscent. When I was in politics, I never used to write in the debates. I never used to write speeches. What I do is listen to what people were saying and what the questions that were being asked, and I would respond to them virtually. I would, I guess you would call it, read the room, realize what people were interested in that were at that particular meeting, and then that's what I would base my summation around. Now, my closing might be 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, and I would make points, much like this. See, this is what happens when you can manage your schizophrenia. when your ADD takes over. So I have comments about all I want to talk about. This was initially my speech, but what it turned into was none of this. I never talked about one thing on this page. All this stuff I wrote down, I never spoke about one thing. Now, I guess that's not true. Everything in there was what I talked about, but it was not in that point form. So, and I don't think it was just that. There's a lot of voices. Have you ever noticed that?
No.
Really? It's never come
I
up?
can literally see you talk to yourself sometimes.
Well, you gotta make things right. I gotta square things away.
Arguing with yourself.
I never argue with no, I rarely argue with myself. All my voices usually get along very well. but seriously, I wanted to. That was the whole thing. Anytime I was speaking in politics, and quite frankly, anytime I'm speaking publicly about the stable, about my family, about all the things that are very, very important to me in my life, you don't want to make a fool of yourself. So I do take those notes, I guess, as general reminders of what I want to talk about, but I think I got the message across pretty clear. The main points of what I was talking about were simple. We have 135 or 36 horse or whatever we have in training, and one, I was corrected later, it was two. But I said one horse was a New York bred. It was two, actually. It was a New York bred. Maury, at least the other one we were talking about. And the reason for that was crystal clear, I believe, was the licensing. I even told them one of the highlights of the entire speech was quite frankly, licensing can start to fix the problem. Fractional ownership can finish it off. And that's kind of the way I feel about the entire industry. If you made it easy for people to get involved, fractional ownership will get you the rest of the way. And it's a little myopic, I guess, to think that way, thinking that one thing can fix the entire industry, which that's not completely accurate, but it can play a major role. Anyway, for those of you who missed that or have any interest in watching it, I know that Lonnie and everybody from New York are going to have those posted also very soon. Well, they have them posted, I guess, on my Facebook page, but I'm going to have Kelly post them in our YouTube section for people, because my speech wasn't really, Rich was nice enough to bring me all the way there, and Lonnie was good. We were talking last night about the speech, but the supporting speeches, and they weren't meant to be supporting speeches, but to have Tom Grossman and obviously Joe Feraldo speak highly of what we're doing and what it would mean for a jurisdiction like New York to have a functioning fractional ownership group, or groups, I think would even be more important, is a feather in our cap. So definitely, I guess, if you got some time, if you're used to watching these videos, you're up to 12 minutes now. We haven't talked about a horse. So if you're used to listening to me ramble, it might be right up your alley. So that was one highlight of the week, was flying to Albany and getting a chance to speak in front of the New York Assembly. The other highlight of the week was Amy getting to qualify. I actually did an interview today about you.
Where?
Somebody had called me to do on a podcast asking about mostly about the Facebook page, that post that I made about you the other day, but just about you in general and if you were going to be driving.
Oh.
Yep, it was very nice, and I'm sure it'll be a good article, but my take on it was simple. The post wasn't necessarily just about you. I know that you feel sometimes not disrespected, but maybe left out, and you may not say it, but I know that you think it sometimes, and certainly not anybody's intention to leave anybody, certainly not you out, but maybe you do sometimes. So I wanted to make it crystal clear that I'm well aware of the hard work that you put in. I know one thing: when I met you, you wouldn't be qualifying any one of my horses. I can tell you that right now. You couldn't even ride a horse. You broke your arm riding your own horse.
That's on its back.
I know, but I mean, qualifying a horse.
I wouldn't even jump.
Yeah. So it's not so much that you came a long way, but not many people with 3 children want to go out on the racetrack and qualify horses. So obviously you had fun, and it's something that you want to do, I assume, in some capacity.
I just don't know, what.
Well, listen, you should. When I started driving, I wanted to be, I say it all the time, everybody in my age group wanted to be the next John Campbell or Bill O'Donnell. And everybody realizes, no, that's not true. Most people realize at some point along that journey they're not. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But that isn't what you would get from driving. You're not chasing accolades or world records.
No.
You just want to have fun. And that's...
And it's fun to... It's kind of a different connection with the horse.
Yes, it is. You're right.
I don't know. I don't want to say it's... I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean.
Kind of respect the work that they're doing when you go out there and go.
But you also notice quite quickly the work they have to do to get to where they are. And we talk about it all the time. And but it is nice to race, and it's a very rewarding job.
I don't know if I was ever cut out. Like I care way too much about screwing up or messing up.
Well, that's something you're gonna have to get used to.
And that's not. I don't take
That's something we talk about all the time. And
even when I was qualifying him the other day, I was like, oh, please don't screw this
I can tell by the way you put him right on the front end and let him rock. I can tell that you were really worried about screwing up.
Well, what do you mean?
Addie told you. Yeah, Addie told you in the video. Are you kidding me? If you guys haven't seen the Facebook
there's two
post.
scratches.
If you haven't seen the Facebook post yet, I posted the 3 videos taken during the race when Amy was there. And the first video is Amy going out of there, and I'm like, uh-oh. Mommy's going to be stuck on the front end. And Addie and I are talking. She goes, well, what is that a good thing? And I said, oh, maybe not. He hasn't raced in 3 weeks. She goes, are you kidding me? It was very funny to me to see live.
I just let him.
He's just a nice horse. He's a nice horse. He's not a killer. He's a pawn in the stable, but he's a nice horse to be around. He's a nice horse to race. When we first started racing that Colton too, he was so nasty with his mouth. He
wasn't that bad at all.
He's good now. He used to be very, very bad.
He wasn't bad at all. Even when that horse came up beside me, he didn't.
He does his work, and he's learned that a lot of the horses too. What we forget is sometimes the horses are competitive, right? The horses like to win also. It's a sport. We talk about how we race horses, how we're in the sport, how we do this and we do that. We forget that the horses themselves like to compete too. And even Blue Ventura, you put him on the front. He hasn't raced in 3 weeks. He wasn't going to give it up, and that's the way we train him, and that's the way he is. If he didn't have that attitude, he wouldn't have been there to qualify him the other day because he wouldn't have still been in our barn, I'm sure. So those are the 2 highlights for me this week. We're going to talk about the horses, but I thought I'd spend 16 or 17 minutes talking about virtually nothing, but stuff that meant a lot to me, which was obviously going to New York this week and then watching my wife qualify horses. Now, on the track this week, I will start with the babies. I was very happy with the way a lot of the babies went this week. The horse that caught my eye, only because I've been busy all week kind of training horses in the race bike and getting horses ready to go and watching other horses train and just focusing on the ones that are getting closer and at the same time kind of out of my periphery watching the babies to make sure they're doing it right and not doing it wrong. And the horse that caught my eye this week, maybe not the one that caught yours, so I'm sure you can tell everybody about that horse. The horse that caught my eye this week was Cover My Short, Eyes of Tens baby. You weren't out there when I went with him.
No,
He is a cool little customer, and he has got a very, very slick gait. Now, we've had a number of green shoes, and quite frankly, I don't like to talk about other people's horses, but they haven't wowed me, the ones that we've had. I know I've had discussions with people about how, well, they're number 2, and they've made all this money, they've done this. Well, I don't really care about that. I know the ones that I've had, that we've had so far, have not been fantastic, and this guy doesn't remind me of any of them. So I am happy in that regard that he's starting out a little bit different. They all seem a little slick-gated, but then they get rude, and then they get a little angry.
So right now he's got a very polite mouth.
Yeah, he's a very nice horse that way.
And
Very
I'm just
nice.
hoping that sticks around because he comes from both sides, and
His mommy had a dirty mouth on her too, and I don't mean she swore a lot. She pulled and didn't stare the greatest. Yeah, but he is a pretty cool customer, and I like him a lot. Do you want to tell anybody of horses that you like this week? Because I know there was at least one.
I like the what's her name?
Who?
The Milestone. Is that the foundation?
Yeah, no, that is what I was talking about. But Perfect Instead is the horse you're talking about.
Yes.
Or is it the other one?
Cyrus?
No, Cyrus is no Holstead.
No, it's Perfect Instead.
Perfect Instead, and then Cyrus, you liked him. He's a nice colt. I mean, I only went with him a couple of days, and I saw him on the track a couple of times.
He's very smart. That horse, we were doing like a little group. We were moving them. We were like switching.
Yeah.
And he as soon as I just pulled him off, followed Perfect. I pulled him off, pulled him back, and he accelerated. I didn't even tell him to. And he's a
some
very
of those
nice
horses
gait.
just understand from day one. It's rare actually that a lot of the horses pick it up along the way, but it is rare that you would see a horse at this stage when they've only literally had the harness on for a couple of weeks to understand. And we're just beginning to do that with them now, is put them in groups of 3 or 4 and, you know, jog them along, stretch them a bit. I told everybody today, you know, when you go the right way of the track, I want everybody to get used to moving the horses a little bit. Now it's only November, so we're not talking about stretching them out a lot, but at some point for an 1/8, for a 16th, for a quarter, let them trot, stretch them out a little bit, or pace. And I saw a little bit more of that today too. There were some horses I really liked today, but the one that caught my eye easily this week, when you said this week, maybe top pick. That's unfair. I shouldn't say top pick, but because I only went with maybe 10 or 15 of them max all week, and they did everything right. Just the horse that really caught my eye was Cover My Shore. So you said Perfect instead in Cirrus.
And actually that little that Father Patrick filly, she's got a really nice gait.
Oh yeah. Pilot
Caviar.
Yeah, Pilot Caviar.
She's got a very nice gait.
That's the filly that was one of those horses we bought, and although she wasn't a giveaway, I couldn't tell you why she only brought that amount of money.
She's small, but you can already see she's growing.
Yeah, and to be honest, the Father Patrick's, I had said the last couple of years, I thought that Father Patrick would take a little bit of a dip, and he really hasn't. They've stayed, you know, even Incredible was $27,000. That's what I had her priced at. That's what I thought. I had her priced a little bit higher, but that's pretty much what I thought she was worth. And then the other one, the other colt, who's the other colt? I know, PJ again. There's the 3/4 sister to Cherry's Girl, and you might say, well, it's not like Cherry's Girl lit the world on fire. Well, when you look at the catalog, and the 2-year-old sister has trotted in 56, taken a mark of 58, made $69,000, $70,000, then yeah, that's something you want to look at, and that's exactly what this filly did. So I haven't gone with either Incredible or the PJ's filly very much, but I've seen them on the track.
Yeah,
I saw Incredible.
I was with them with Cyrus.
I saw Incredible on the track today. She looked very good.
Saying that they read
Cirrus or Cyrus? I think either will do. You can Google it if you want. Yeah, I'm sure it means, I think it's a Greek god or something. Is it Cirrus? I don't know. So yeah, you have 3. I only had the 1. Everybody did what I asked them to do. But the horse that when I'm talking about, I come off the track and I was kind of just talking to myself, saying, well, this horse is...
You didn't know who it was?
No, I know who he was, but I'm like, wow, this is an impressive colt.
And his head is down so low.
But the way he trots, I put him in deep water. When I was sprinting him along, I would bet you I probably went a mile in 3 minutes. No, don't put those in there. No, because they go in the visor. It's stuff that I need. That's one of them right there. There you go. Ta-ta. That's one of the horses that when I come off the track, I'm like, that was impressive. I pushed him. I bet you I won him at 3-minute mile, which there's no need of that. That was a secret. But those types of miles around 3 minutes. All right, I went 2:58 with them. But you never train horses this time of the year ever, and there's no need of it. And I didn't go out there and say, I'm going to train this horse. No, what had happened was I'd let him trot along, and I only had my stopwatch with me because I was training horses in the race bike all morning long, and he was in between. And when I started my watch just to see. First, I was going to time like a quarter, right? We get up the quarter in 50 seconds, which is fine. It's half and like 30, right? We get over 40. We get over. I start pushing him a little bit. He put a step in. I just let him do his work. He'd come right out of it. Trotted forward again. I go to the half. Get around the last turn. He put a couple of steps in. I actually chirped to him to see if he would run, and he still pushed forward. And then I let him finish out his mile, and I did click the watch. It was 2:58, which I wasn't going to tell you that. I was going to downplay it, but then Amy ratted on me. So
you shouldn't show anybody if you're going to tell them a little fibbing.
I guess I won't next time. I wasn't fibbing. I just was not telling everything. But it had nothing to do with the time and everything to do with the way he did it. I had pushed him to about 102% of what he could do a couple of times in the mile. And it had nothing to do with the speed. It was just what he was comfortable doing. And I pushed him outside the comfort zone a couple of times. And he just dealt with it. He just got it done. And horses don't generally do that. They all, at this time of year, they all will ring the bell at some point. At some point, they will say, you got me, that's enough. And that's that. There's nothing wrong with that. I couldn't get there with this horse. And that was, to me, I just thought that was one of the coolest things I'd seen all week. It's certainly something that I was not, I was not expecting. Anyway, it doesn't matter much. He's not going to go in much faster than that before the new year, but I was impressed with the way he went about his work this week. So those were a couple of babies that caught our eye. The newest baby arrived also. I think he's the perfect size. And he actually has a slicker gait than both his sister and his brother. No, she has a very nice gait. Maybe not the most efficient gait, but a nice gait. We're talking about Muscle Chrome's son by Century and ATM. His name is Vinestaff. And I saw him from across the track, and I knew it was him because I knew that they said he was on the track. He has a similar gait to both of them, but what appeared to me now from a quarter of a mile away, a little bit more efficient with his motion, but the perfect size. Also, the Philly Tomboy Strong is growing out to be just a Giganosaurus Rex. She is huge, and yeah, because Muscle Chrome was so small, and the brother was big too.
He was big, but he wasn't like
her. No, this guy's smaller than both, but like I said, his gait from afar looked more efficient.
Hopefully, it's more efficient than Romancer's.
He doesn't have an efficient gait, but I'll tell you what, he worked good today. I trained that horse at 2:14 at a mile and a half in the jog cart. And what I liked about him today was he was malleable, he was flexible. What I asked him to do, he did and did. I could tell he was doing.
I put the figure 8 on him. He was better.
Well, either that or he didn't like Scott training him the other day. I told Scott, but there's nothing wrong with that. I want our employees.
He wants to learn.
But that's what I'm talking about, is that I want to see our employees want to know more, right? Scott's been dying to train him, so I said, all right, you want to train him. He made a break after the mile, but, he was stretched out pretty thin. What? I was just wondering that. It looks like plastic bottles. Yeah. But what I liked was that, one, he understood what he did wrong in the training that Scott I'm talking about, and two, he obviously wanted to learn how to correct it. And with a horse like Neuromancer, when you stir him up, when he switches his leads coming in and out of the turns, and you stir him up, he interferes. And you don't want to startle him, because he's going to interfere, and then he's going to get frustrated, then he's going to get hot, and he's going to make a break, right? And that's what he'll do. But what I want him to understand is that it's okay just to take a couple of seconds as you switch your leads and get your feet under you, right? So rather than stir him up and yell at him, I want to keep him in gear, keep the bit in his mouth, and allow him to do his work. And I trained him at 16 last week. I trained him at 14 today. We're going to continue to incrementally get him down. So I want him as strong as he can be. So when I ask him to go quarter 28 in a piece, he hasn't lost, right? And that's where we're at with Neuromancer right now. So I was happy with Neuromancer today. Who else did I train today? I trained Tenacious trained fantastic. I didn't tell you that. He sounds $1. I can't believe it. I'll tell everybody. I trained Tenacious Animal 2 minutes this morning. That's what I trained him in. He's probably still a couple of weeks of work, because the last thing you want to do is train him in 2 minutes and say, oh, he's great, and then go qualify him in 58, and then put him in and then go in 54 in the race. It's just not fair to him. So he may end up going back over to Tim's a little sooner than not, because I was not aware we had filled up so quickly. The burn is full. Now, that poses a problem, because by my count, we have 8, 9, or 10 2-year-olds to come in the States and 5 to come in Canada. So we are going to be at absolute full capacity. We already are here in Ohio. I've told, Jason was nice. He said Jason has his own horse in the barn, Merriman. He's going to move him across into the other barn, I guess. And then Lauren has a horse that I was racing for her in the stakes. That horse is on gate, I guess, and we'll be leaving. And then we have 2 equipment stalls that are full of equipment. They have to leave. So we're pulling out all the stops, to get everybody accommodated. Now we have 3-point Blue Chip and Spitfire coming over. I have Spitfire coming over to get him shod, get him re-qualified, and just to see if we can't just get those last little few wrinkles out of him. 3-point Blue Chip's been hitting that left hind. I'm going to win the Aqua treadmill with him for a week. See if we can't get his leg cleaned up, and love of God, get him away from hitting it. I mean, this horse had never hit when he was young, and now he just can't miss himself.
But you said too, once they start,
they never get away from it. It's hard, and And that's where 3 Point is. So we have him, those two horses, a little bit of a rehab, I guess, for 3 Point Blue Chip, and then with Spitfire. I just want to tinker with the shoes a little bit and get him qualified over here, and then decide. He's another horse that hits left hind. Like the rail was a killer the other day. There's nothing I can do. He just got. But the reason he gets so there's so much trepidation with him at the gate right now is because when he goes to switch gears, he too hits that left hind, but he hits it midway down the shin, and that's even more painful than getting up into the jack. So probably gonna have to add a little bit of weight to him and get him squared away. Here's a horse that when he was at his best had 4 full swedges on, and now he has to have certain shoes, and but that's just the way it is. That's the job. We got to get him squared away.
That was like before broken foot. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm like
no, I'm not talking about 3 Point. No, when he was 3, he didn't hit everywhere either.
He didn't race when he was 3.
Or sorry, when he was 4, when we had him, he didn't hit everywhere either. I was talking about Spitfire, the latter part of the conversation. We got to get him qualified. 3 Point, we can probably shock him first of the week, get him in the aqua treadmill for a week, and in that time frame also ice that leg, get it cleaned out, get it sucked up, and then we'll get him back into go at the Meadows. I just naively thought that he was fine, and then talking to Tim the other day, he said, "No, he's still chewing at that leg pretty good," which is disappointing, but it is what it is. So the burn is full here. The burn will be full in Ontario, so we're looking for where we're going to put everybody. We'll get that squared away in the next week or so, but not many people have the problem of I have no stalls. It's usually I have no help or I don't have enough horses would be the two biggest complaints in horse racing right now. We have enough help and we have too many horses, which is a good problem to have. I know you're thinking, you're blaming me for having too many horses.
Yes, I am.
Why? Because why? Name one horse I shouldn't have bought. Come on, I dare you.
No, I don't want to do that. That's not nice.
Well, because which one? Oh, you're going to say that I shouldn't have bought Stay Charming. That's the name that was in your head. I know how you think. I can read your mind. Stay Charming was one of those deals
You're just going to spend 5 minutes telling me how nice he is.
Hey, did you see him? They say he's perfect on the track now. Aaron and Jason. Aaron said, I hooked him, went home by myself yesterday. The horse was great. I said, I told everybody he would be fine. He was just timid. I've seen this before, and there's nothing more dangerous than a scared, timid horse. Now he's not. Now he understands the barn. Now he accepts what his role and his job is, and he's happy to do it. And it's even easier because he's actually very good at it. He's got a beautiful gait. I can't wait to show you guys this horse on the track. He looks amazing. And as I get to the 33-minute mark of this video almost...
What is this, your opening?
This is my opening.
Oh, okay.
I'm very happy to announce that December 14th will be our open house. I actually called the news station, the big news station, I think it's Fox. I wanted them. I sent them an email. I'm going to call them in a minute, and I'm going to hound them. I am going to force them to put a restraining order on me, or come and give us some coverage on the news in Cleveland.
Well, that's
because,
a good idea.
well, I've been trying to do it. The one thing I did it half-assed last year, and then what I realized was the Northfield Park has zero connections with any mainstream media. They have like a guy that does a podcast and a couple of people that do commercials, but nobody in the media. And there is media in the Cleveland area. We represent probably, if not then most definitely the largest fractional ownership stable in North America in their backyard. We're having an open house. You'd think that might be newsworthy, I would think. So we'll see. I don't know, but I'm going to call them, and I'm going to keep calling them, and keep sending them emails until they say, please stop, or you're going to hear from our attorney. That's what I'm going to do. So that's how that's going to work out. That will be on the 14th. It should be a lot of fun. It is a Sunday. One of these years we'll get James over, but James races on Sunday nights now, so I doubt he can come over for the open house. But I know the good news is we get a lot of really talented young drivers that are here too. I don't even know if I'm going to win the open house. I might be on the desk. If I can talk my brother Mark into coming down for the open house, him and I may do the commentary for the open house. You might be on the track with Tyler and Justin and anybody else that we can get to go with the babies. Lemsey always says he won't, but I always find a way to talk him into it. Hopefully I can this year because he has more experience than most people when it comes to young horses also. So that'll be on the 14th. We have everybody in-house. Now, simultaneously, it would be nice if we could get some training done on a Sunday in Ontario. Do you think we can talk them into it? A Sunday the 14th. I've been
do it at the
told
same
that
time.
Joe, exactly. I've been told that Joe is moving that dirt
I
around.
told you. When I
But is
saw
it
a
gone
video.
or is it?
Well, he's starting to take chunks out of it. I don't know.
I hope it's gone. And the only other good thing about doing it on a Sunday was because nobody else is mostly on the track on a Sunday, we can get the drone right down on top of the horses rather than, because the fear for me also was that we're going to scare somebody's horses or somebody's horse and it's going to go over one of those cliffs at Joe's, and that's the last thing I want. I don't think it would happen, but I don't want to put myself in a position where it could happen. By doing it on a Sunday at Joe's, we can get that drone kind of right down on top of everybody so that I'm not worried about our horses acting up. I'm worried about somebody else's. So that's the hope. I would happily do the commentary with my brother Mark if he would come down. A lot of people asking where Mark was. He had some kidney stones who were bothering him, and he just wanted to take some time. I think, this game will beat you down, and when you don't have power to drive, it makes it hard to get excited about going to drive horses every night. And I tell you guys all the time, we do our best to make sure our horses are less than 10 to 1. They go on the track 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 2 to 1, 3 to 1 if we can, because I know how important that is as a driver and how important that is as an owner. Well, when your job is to be a driver and you go there and you're saddled with driving a lot of longer shots, it just makes for a long day and a frustrating work week, to be quite frank. So we'll see if we can't get Mark over to help with the commentary. That would be nice also. But a real great group of horses this year for everybody. That open house, we're in the final stages of locking that down, but I think it's a done deal for December the 14th in Ohio. And if I can, we'll have simultaneously a training day. And if you want to go out to the track, we will make sure there's coffee and donuts and everything you want in Ontario also, if you want to come out and watch the training on that Sunday also. So this is the final stages of putting this all together, but that is how it is going to look. Now, finally, this week on the track. I haven't got here yet. This week on the track, Memento Mori was better. I had somebody message me the other day and say, Anthony, I heard you say something about putting Mori in a claimer. Please tell me you're not thinking about doing that. Well, not only am I thinking of it, I've done it. He is the condition claimer. And I'm not entering Memento Mori or any horse based on what they were. Based on what they were a year ago or 2 years ago or 2 months ago. We're going to race our horses where they belong. And Memento Mori needs to get moving. I made excuses for him all year. He needs to start winning races and doing well. Now, the only good thing about having a terrible year is that he still fits the numbers. 2 claimer, 3 claimer, 4 claimer. We can race him right up through the classes. And if somebody decides they want to claim Memento Mori, fill your boots. I think we've proven that, unfortunately, he is not Memento Mori of 2024. And what we are going to race is Memento Mori of 2025. He's not without some minor issues that bother him. He's not without some things that are holding him back. But I can't, in good faith, tell you that those things equate to the loss of power that I've seen in 2025. So rather than trying to fix what he is or isn't, trying to bring him back to a nostalgic 2024, I'm just going to race the horse we have in 2025. That's the easiest way to do it. So Memento Mori is in where he should be able to do for quite some time. And I suspect that will be the case this coming week also. Tally the Tab was sensational last week. I just think a lot of this filly, they've obviously done a great job. Somebody said, well, Anthony, she's going to need a rest. She's got 28 starts this year. Well, my take on it is simple. When you win 14 or 15 of them, and most of them are at fair tracks, I don't really count them as stressful days. For a horse like her, for me to go race a horse like Tally the Tab at a fair and win with probably the earplugs in, it's a train of mine, right? That's not I'll rate most of those races as half or 3/4 of her ability to win them. So I'm not going to read too much into a number.
Sure she'll let you know.
And that was what I was exactly getting to, honey, is that, no, it's all right. Eventually, if Tally the Tab gets tired, she'll let us know. But I can tell you one thing. If she keeps going out there and winning with the earplugs in, it'll be a while before she was, but she's so cool too. I was trying to save as much ground as I could with her because I knew she was good, but she was up from where we had raced her. And I didn't want to have her in a spot where, coming off, getting beat up, I didn't want to get her beat, right? If she was going to lose, fine, but I didn't want to be the reason it happened. So I didn't quarter pole her to the front. I had to make the move at the quarter and then drop her in the 2-hole. I could have continued on to the front. And you can be sure that Chris Lamps would have let me go, but I was also aware that his horse was one of the horses to beat. So I ducked in behind him, moving down the backstretch. I had more than ample enough time to get out in front of Aaron Merriman, and instead I waited. And then getting into the last turn, it was pretty clear she was about to inhale them. And what a nice race filly she is. She absolutely crushed them down the lane and opened up and won easy. And I was very happy because you always like to see those handy horses do well. The ones that like their work and do their work well go out and achieve, good things. And when it comes to Talia the Tab, she's not a killer. She's not. They're naming after her, stake races after her. But she's going to do a lot of good for us over the next little while. And the other night was just a taste of that. We had the only highlight of Thursday was my trip to Albany. Quite frankly, Neptune broke a hobble. 3-point blue chip was flat. Lady has showed a little bit of mucus and blood. She's got to go on Lasix. And Woodmere Flojo looked to me rough in both turns. Why? I'm not really sure. But we're going to get to the bottom of that also. Not a very productive day there, but then, of course, we come in today. Now we have Time Is On My Side and Trocy. You want to talk about two horses that want to win. But Time Is On My Side has already done lots for us. And, I think him and Tactical Mounts will be the two best horses we've ever had, aside from Lawmaker, I would think. And when I look at Time Is On My Side, it just seems like he's getting better and better and better. You don't see it on the track. You might look at his line and say, well, Anthony, obviously he was at his best before than he was now. These are open pacers at Dayton, right? For this area, this is the toughest you're going to get. And he's just been racing tremendous. He's actually picked the win tonight. He's picked the win. He's picked the beat Surreal Ideal, which...
That makes some sense.
He won from the 9-hole last week. I wouldn't think the 8-hole would be tough tonight, but he has picked the beat Surreal Ideal, so we'll see what happens there. And then Trosa has just been so strong and such a good horse. I just feel very confident going into time with him, but we'll see. He still has to be at 100% also to race well tonight, so we'll see how he does. And then Gorgeous Package has made a return. She's only here for a short time, and hopefully a good time. We have her racing tomorrow in the class Foxy was in. I expect Gorgeous Package to go and race well tomorrow night. She's coming in good. Jason knows her well and has done a great job with her, but at the same time, it's just too tough. The class is just too hard for her in Ontario. Jim, one of our partners and a good friend of mine, had said, we've had no luck sending horses over to Ontario this year. Right. But it's like saying you've had no luck racing at the Meadowlands. It's the toughest place, possibly the toughest place to race in North America. Definitely in Canada, for sure, that goes without saying. But it's just very, very hard. It's hard to believe that you got a filly. She pays 51, 52, 53 at Scioto, and I guess Scioto and Northfield this summer. And then can't go over and race in a class that's available to her. Now, I think the latter part of what I said is a big part of the problem. There weren't any proper classes for her. She was left racing against gold fillies and a filly that raced the Breeders' Crown, when she should have been able to race against condition claimers. There just wasn't a class there. I would hope that there was a fillies and mares, 3-year-old fillies and mares 30 claimer. It would have been right up her alley. But they don't have that. It doesn't fill in Ontario. So we had to move her, and she's in to go Sunday night at Northfield Park. She'll be heading to Dover to join Arrowhead Hanover, who still has not been okay to race just yet. I think they just sit you on the docks.
So why are you sending her? She's going to be off.
Well, no, I'm not sending her until she's okay to race and in to go. That's when I'll send her. When he's put her in to go, and when Mr. Munson has put her in to go, and he says, yeah, she's going to get in, that's when the truck will arrive for Gorgeous Package. And then, of course, we have some new horses, definitely one new horse racing on Monday night that I'm very eager to drive, and that is Salzbrook Ian. This horse had a very, very good week at the barn, trained very, very strong, and is in. It's no cakewalk. It's a tough class at Northfield Park on Monday evening, but we'll see how he does. So, all in all, a pretty good week at the track. The wrist isn't bad. It actually doesn't help that much, that little brace thing. I think my wrist is probably at 80% right now tonight, which is more than enough for tonight. We'll see how things play out, but how was your week, other than your qualifier? And the babies? Anything else was happening this week? No? And Ollie, He's all right, hockey, baseball. He's in this academic club, which is pretty cool. But
It's like Jeopardy.
it is. I saw a clip of it. Ava recorded a little bit of it so you could watch it because it was ongoing when we were training the horses this morning at the barn. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. If you guys have ever met Ollie, I said this in an earlier video, if you've ever met Ollie, you know why he would gravitate towards this. He is a endless supply of useless information when it comes to that type of trivia. And he likes it, and I like it. It keeps him sharp, so that's good. So anyway, that is it for this week. A long opening for you guys. You got 45 minutes of mostly also useless information.
Yep.
But it was in one long stream. So I hope you guys have had a great week. I hope you had a great weekend. Obviously, this video will be aired tomorrow. I hope you've had a great weekend. Good luck at the track, both this weekend and next week. I will talk to you all very soon.